Hey, Tachi Yokut. Hello, my name is Cecilia Moreno. I am from the Tachi Yokut Nation here in the Central Valley. I've been doing language and baskets weaving since I was a little girl. Today I have some basket items I would like to show to you guys a little bit about my history. Um, the first thing I would want to let you know is that my tribe that I mainly do a lot of basket weaving with and language with is the Tachi Yokut Tribe, which is located in Lemoore, California, which is about, I want to say, 45 minutes to 50 minutes away from Merced. Our tribe has a very large amount of population, but in that population, there's only so many Native Americans who are doing the language and speaking, and as well as basket weaving. We do have a language program that is getting larger as the days go on. But with my master speaker, who I taught me when I was younger, was Luana Aichel Faso. She was with my grandmother. She had taught me how to speak my language and weave and all to deal with my cultural traditions. Um, what I have in front of me is some baskets that I have made. The first one that I made was one of the coiled baskets we have. It starts from the bottom up, so you start from the little button and it goes in a coil all the way up to the very top. We use our deer grass as a filler, which you can't see. The red area is called the red bud, and the white area is called the white root. We use these baskets for storage, for food, for decoration, and for ceremonies. We would use some baskets. These two are the same, it's just different sizes. They are miniature baskets. The large ones can get very large, like the size of a cooking pot. The next thing I would like to talk just a little bit about is this is a miniature cradle board. This is what we held for the children. For the really babies, the grandmother is the one who's in charge of making the baskets for their future grandchild. They would have miniature baskets done for the little girls to play with, but for us, this is a demonstration. So we have a little hood that would usually have shells to make a little comforting sound for the baby when the mother was picking her berries or her basket material or just taking care of the child. This can get very large. But this is a miniature one of it, and this one is used with strawberry sticks, willow, white root, and red bud. And a lot of the time, this takes a couple weeks to make, just because they want to make something simple. But as time goes on, they'll make a double back one, which has a double base on the back, because that's for children who are much larger. The next thing that I would want to talk about, since we're on the topic of babies, is a baby rattle, which has shells inside from the coast. But this one, it just sticks to make some noise for the baby to hold, just like any other rattle. We have red bud as the little binder right here with some strawberry sticks. We also have the white root as the white portion. Anyone can make this. It was mainly women who are basket weavers. Our men usually don't basket weave technically from traditionally wise, but now there is male basket weavers. This one was made by my uncle Gregory Ignacio. So when he made it just to show from our display. One more basket that I have made in my times as growing up with my grandmother. This is a miniature seed gatherer basket. You would take this basket to be much larger. It would be like an oval shape, and you would pick your berries or your acorns or any substance you wanted for food. You would put it in here and carry it with you. This is very small, but it would be about the size of an oven bake pan. What you do for like a turkey, it would be very large. For this one, we have the redwood on the side, the white root at the bottom, and then more strawberry sticks and willow. This was taught to me how to make by my aunt Jennifer Malone. She's Wachumni. She's from Wood Lake area, which is another hour, 20, 30 from here, near more by Cecilia. She was my master weaver teacher growing up. She's always taught me, as well as my grandmother. We would always go to classes together. One thing that we used a lot that we find here in the Central Valley is called Tule. These Tule beads, this one's an older one, but when they're new, they are green and very, very tall, similar to cattail. We use this Tule for our little Tule huts. You can make a teepee. Also, they would layer these Tules and to make a mattress. You would layer them up because it's like a cork inside, and then you would put your rabbit felt on top or some sort of felt to lay asleep on. But for this one, I used a different method. compared to this one. This one is a coiling method. These are both coiling, but these three are called twining because you are kind of weaving the material back and forth like you would do for kind of like sewing, go in and out, the same thing. Here I have white root on the binder for it as tying it all the way back and forth, but usually you would just cut the tule in half and make your own string. This is very malleable material and it's very useful and has many usages within the tule itself. This one's a very small one, but they can get very large. These tule reeds can go taller than me. They're always found by the river, near a water source because the tule needs the water to grow. And then they would use it all the time to do many projects. I know within also we make our boats because you would use our boats to go fishing in the lakes. And within the lakes there would be fish or whatever source we needed to pick. When we had a very large lake in the Central Valley called Tulare Lake, that was our main food source and water source, and also just a living area would live there. But as the lake was drained due to agricultural reasons, it was like people came to the Central Valley later in the years, we lost that lake. But we still do the methods of twining and with our tules and like binding it, so we can still try to do tule runs. I know we've done a couple examples when I was in my IGOS program. IGOS is another program I do that does those with surviving with our language and keep it nice and going. But that's just a little bit about the baskets. So, I just wanted to show a little bit of photos that I had brought in today to show who basket weavers that are known for us in our valley, as well as information of the material we use and some photos of the tule boats that I would like to also talk about. The first photo that I have right here on the very top. Her name is Moana Bay Aichahaso. Her Indian name is Oswick. Also, my name is Oswick. We both share a name. She is my master weaver and master speaker that has taught me. In the photo, she has a coiled basket that she had made and donated and made and used to a family member. She was born in 1941. She didn't do most of her language or reading until she got into her motherhood, when she started teaching her daughter and her son, just because she didn't feel comfortable talking her language or reading when she was younger. But she did do a little bit of language with her uncle Leon Manuel, who was an elder from the Tachi Yokut Tribe, who taught her to do the language. She loved to do weaving. She had a green thumb, so anytime it came to the material, she loved to mess with it and just teach people. That was always her thing. She wanted to teach anyone who wanted to learn, that who just respected us and the weaving style. This is the first photo of her. We have her with another photo, which is a much larger basket. This one right here is a gambling tray. It was a gambling game we did with the people. We would sing and dance and we would have these gatherings, and we would also play a gambling game. And you would throw the dice, and it's kind of a confusing game, but it was a fun game. She made this basket. She called it the sunrise basket because there's like a little sun in it with the sun rays. She made this basket. It took her about 2 to 3 years just because she had to stop and go, but this is one of her favorite baskets she ever made. She put her heart and soul into it. She would always say this basket was for a learning method, so anything she made was also for resources for anyone to learn. She was a wonderful, funny lady. She always liked to take pictures, and I know it's kind of hard to see. But she just liked to weave, and she liked to go to all these gatherings. And then this one here, I think it's in Tachi. We went to Tachi to do a basket class with a bunch of different vendors and teachers and everyone. And she taught how to do coiling method at this one. She was showing her example of what she had done, like how large you can make a basket. It could be this large to this small to even smaller. So she was always putting a challenge. For me and my family, we come from a line of famous basket weaver. Her name is Maggie Aichel or Wanamka. She's actually from the Tulare Tribe. Right here is an older photo of her, and it's black and white. There's not that many photos of her weaving. But in this photo right here, she is weaving a coiled, I think a coiled basket. I don't know what design is because it's an older photo, and I don't know where this basket's at. But she was her grandmother. Was her father's mother. She was a wonderful lady as well. She was very funny. But she had taught some people how to weave. In this photo, she is sitting with her material. Right here is her salberry sticks and her probably her deer grass, and I see something as willow, and she has her coiled basket right here. She's sitting down in the sun with her baskets weaving, just like how my grandma would do every day. She spoke her language and only her language, which was Chami. Instead of saying he, they would say Hadet. Our language, we're called the sister tribes because we speak the same, almost the same language, just with different dialects or just different sound here or there. But very both important people in the basket weaving community for the Yokut people, in my opinion. Right here, just to show you a couple materials, I know it's kind of hard to see, but this is the white grass. The white grass. We use this grass right here, and then the white root we pick from the grass, and we have to dig a lot of the time to get it. But it's usually always in this bushy area, and then you have to dig in the dirt to pick up the root. And I have a picture of that one. Yeah. Once you pick the root, you have to clean it. And right here is my mother. She's cleaning the material. She has a piece she's showing of a strand that is very crooked, and you have to split it in half and take it through a thinner, and then it makes a beautiful string that makes these beautiful designs in the little white spots. But usually when you pick it, we put it in a big old bucket, and then we have this in a bucket for just the afternoon. We take it home. We clean the material. We have to peel it, like you're gonna peel a potato. You have to take that layer off, and you see that white, beautiful color. And then you have to take the grass out of it and just make it look beautiful. We spend like hours. We go early in the morning. This is my sister Angelina. We're sitting down in the dirt in the Cleo Oaks Preserve with my Cecilia. We're here digging and picking the roots. You know, we dig all day because the roots grow. As roots grow, they go crooked, they go straight. You know, you have to really find them in here. So this is a picture of her digging. You know, it was a hot day, but we gotta bring that material home. Another material we use quite a bit is called the redbud. We find these in the mountains, and we usually pick those during the winter time, like the first frost in January. Usually we pick them. They're growing a big bush, really tall. We clip the bottom, and then we bring them home. This picture of them is just like laying down. We use it to make our color in our baskets, just to show an example. It's red portion in my basket. But it makes a beautiful design when we do use it. You know, we get the stick, and then we split it in half. We start pulling the stick all the way down, and then it makes two shoots. So there's like that doubling method where you get more material. Once it's all pulled out into the sticks, and you bring it down, you make our little bundles, which we tie up and use when we need to. Kind of like yarn, you start from the bottom, you pull it out, and you have your string ready for your project. So that is our red bud. And then in this little photo we have right here, we have all our material we use for our basket weaving. There's probably a couple of things missing. But we have our deer grass right here, which deer grass is grown actually in front of Target. Like I've seen one, or CVS here in town. If you go to CVS, this big old bush right in the back of your Starbucks is called deer grass, or chunkas in our language. If you get it and you pull it up, you got to be careful because they have little splinters on them. You can get them in your fingers, so you got to be careful when you pick them. But we pick them, we clean them just with a knife or with a thinner, and we put it in our baskets. You can't see it in this one, but it's the binding material that's inside to make it the filler. And then it's right here, and we have the willow, which is a tree from the willow tree, we use the sticks, and then the salberry sticks, which also mainly found in the mountains, and we pick them late winter or early spring. I think we pick them after the berries fall off. It's a berry bush, and then we use the sticks so for our cradleboards, and then for our seed gatherers, or anything that's usually with the twining methods, we mainly use with that one. We have examples right here of the deer grass, right here, salberry sticks, willow, what else? White root, red bud, a lot of white root here. This is like we pick and then we save, and we take pictures of our material to show examples to everyone when we go to our little conferences. Again, here's a white root, just showing how we split it. We hold it down the middle with a little knife, and we peel it. And peel it in two. But you know, it gets a lot of process. And here's me the day after, the same day we picked our material. We're out on the booms picking off this material, and then I'm sitting down here cleaning the material. I had to shed off a layer. Like a carrot, you have to take that first layer off, and then you're peeling it, and you're taking everything off, and then you split it down the middle. And you got to put it through a tin can lid, so you make it like a can of peaches, you take that lid off, you make it nice and smooth, and then you punch certain holes with usually with a nail, and you have different sizes, and then so you can thin it your what to the size you need. And this is me doing it that same day because I didn't want the material to get old. One basket I don't have an example of, but we do recently a lot for more for like fashion or just for like things to learn the coiling method is the medallions. My mother and my sisters have been doing this a lot. I've only done one. Um, but it's the same idea of doing the coiling method for the basket, except you make a little lip on top so you can put a string through so you can wear it as a necklace. You can put different beads on it, but it's the idea of just doing a very small coiled gambling tray, and then you're wearing it. But it's actually very nice and beautiful, and there's always a story with it. And my mom was doing this to show people how to weave and start weaving so they can make their large baskets. So this is hers. And then what I want to talk about a little bit more is our Tule boats and the Tule twining method, because it's a class I hopefully I can teach with the mat, teaching everyone how to do the twining method. I don't have any fresh Tule with me today because I didn't have the chance to pick it. It's been kind of hard to pick material, but I know as the classes will go, I'll bring in the fresh material because with Tule, it needs to be fresh to make, so it can be easy and malleable and flexible to use, because if not, it'll get very old and it'll look like this one. This is like 2 to 5 years old. So it lasts a long time, it's just that it's harder to use. But once it's fresh, it's gonna look like this green tall weed right here. Very similar to cattail, but it's not cattail. But right here we have an example of a Tule boat, which we would use to, like I said, to go fishing in the lakes, or everyone likes to boat ride, but we don't have that motor boat, so that's something now you would use these Tule boats. So these Tule weeds right here are fresh and green. I could pick these that morning up when I did this event. So when I have a chance, I'll bring some fresh Tule, and I'll show you guys how to split it and do it. But we'll use different methods to show you guys how to do the twining method, because this is one of the easiest things I know how to do, and it's very interesting and fun, and I have a great time with. So with these Tule reeds, we make it into boats. We have an example of little kids right here swimming on it's a little pond, I believe, a man-made pond, but the kids are learning how to swim. That's when to go on the boat and go fishing like it was like back in the day. My brother's on the first one, and his friend, he made that day at the cultural event. They're in this boat, and it can get very, very large. It can usually hold 2 adults in it, 2 adult males usually. But in this photo, it can be 2 to 3 kids because they're very small. This is them getting ready to go for the boat launch. I know it's a hard photo to see, but there's the paddles, and they're ready to go. They have their life jackets on. They're ready to go have some fun in the water. But it's a long process to get the tules to like cut them, tie them, twine them. But it's fun. I enjoy it. So here's a photo of me when I want to say 17. So it's been a few years since I've been in this photo. But here's my uncle Greg. Gregory Ignacio, he's full native. He's with Tachi and Tachi. He likes to do a lot of stuff with tules. Since he's a male, he likes to do different types of baskets. He likes to do the twining method because it's more understandable for men to do twining than coiling. But it's acceptable now. With my family and some cultures, Native American men can do weaving now. It wasn't like that many years ago. We're trying to teach everyone who can we're trying to teach everyone so they can teach everyone. That is the whole method of it. But here I am with the Tule in my hand with the knife, split it in half. You don't really have to use a knife sometimes, but I do to make it very symmetrical on both sides. You split it and pull it, the same thing you would do with the white root or the red bud, so you can make the string. Because the good thing with Tule is it is a stick and a string. It's not like that with any other material, because sometimes the material is very stiff or tough. Another one you can do that is the red bud. So there's 2 things that are similar. We are again here at Tachi doing an event teaching them how to make Tule boats, and it's very easy to make, and the kids love making them. It's a little boat, maybe with the size of a ruler. It's not that large, but it's, you can float it in the water, and the kids get excited. We put them in a little swimming pool and let them go and see who gets first, and they get a prize. We teach them why we do Tule boats and why Tule is important. And I've always enjoyed doing Tule. It's my favorite part. Here I've been doing Tule methods for, I think I was like 13 when I started, and I'm 26 now, so 13 years of me weaving, but I keep going. This method is very easy. I find it enjoyable. It doesn't take that much time, and there's always different ways to mess with Tule. I know people from all over California use Tule. I know people from San Diego who use Tule to do their boats, and they swim in the ocean. So this material that we have which is natural, is very fun to use, and it's great. The learning method. So just to go into a little details about the Tule, I know I've kind of mentioned it here and there. The Tule is always found mainly by a riverbed or by a water source. They grow at the edge of a water source sometimes, and they grow really tall. I want to say 6 feet to 10 feet tall. Sometimes they go really, really tall. What we do is we go to the waterbed, we cut the edge of the Tule root or the Tule stalk, and inside the Tule they will have water because they have a inside filter of a little cork style, and the water gets sucked up in there. So we take all these Tules home. We let them sit just for a little bit, just so the water can kind of drain out. But once we're using the Tules, we go ahead and sometimes we'll leave bundles to leave to the side for whatever sticks we need, and then we'll take some Tules on the other side to go ahead and start splitting those Tules. Because we like to use the Tule method, use the twining method, sorry, to make our birding. They can do Tule birding baskets, they can do Tule coil baskets, I've seen that, and Tule ducks, and then the Tule boats, and we do Tule boats, the Tule mats, and the Tule homes, the Tule house structures. That's what a lot of the Tule is used for. With the method of doing it, we pick them, we let them dry. Once it's dry, we go ahead and get the sticks, cut it to the size we want, and then if we're going to do a mat, I usually do a small mat, just about the size of this table right here. I cut the strings about the same size, and then I start peeling everything. Once we make the mats, they can be really small, which is really fun to do, really, really easy. But once we start doing the Tule boats, it's a little bit different. It's a little harder, but it's fun. In this photo right here, we have this small one, the Tule. So they get them in bundles. So what we would do is, as we have the Tules ready to cut and we lay them dry, we grab all the Tules and we roll them up. And then you get the edge and you start twining them. And you make these big bundles. With the more bundles you have, there's a certain amount you're supposed to do per side for the boat. You do and twine them, let them go towards the end. You twine the ends on each side. And we put different Tules in the middle to make the little seat. So you have the seat in the middle and the two edges. But with the good thing about Tule, it's not so much waterproof, but you can be very buoyant in the water because that cork thing makes it float, and that's when you can use it as a boat versus using wood or something. You would use the Tules as a little bit of a natural resource that was for us. People who are swimming in the water, they still get water in their boat and stuff, but it was, it was usable to go fishing for the fish because we eat a lot of fish. And make our travels on that. So in this picture, you see two kids swimming in the pond. They're all ready to go and do their thing. Making a boat can take about 2 days, sometimes if not longer. 1 day to pick the material, 1 day to find the material, and bind it all together to make that big boat. With these boats and stuff, we sit there and we use them. Sometimes they last a couple of weeks, these boats, you get rid of your boat, make a new boat, that's a good thing with it, you're not, it's not horrible to use all these tools, it's a good source to use for that. We enjoy teaching the children how to do it because they do it all day long. They can sit there and mess with the Tules, it's something that the adults teach them, and then we can teach them how to do this twining method for other baskets that are more intricate and more harder to do because it's harder for a little child to do, but it's still possible. We learn the method to do on the Tule, and we can transfer to this idea for the seed gathering. But for me, I really enjoy doing the Tule. It's fun, it's easy, and I did it since I was a kid. Bonded with my uncle with it. It taught me how to do a lot and meet different people with it, and I enjoy it. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone, for hearing my story and hearing my introduction to climbing, a little bit of Native American history of the Tachi Yokut people and also the Chinese people. Our story is important and needs to be heard. Sometimes you don't get to hear our story too much, and anytime I get to talk about it, I like to go into the very important details with it. But it's just something that is, it's enjoyable for to learn how to do something physically, and then something to learn, and then to keep in your mind because a lot of it's not told in school, and I didn't get to have a chance to learn my history in school that much. I learned it from being part of my family. But it's important to know. We have a big, rich history that in the Central Valley that is important to know. We should, it's here. It needs to be here. But thank you.